Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Atlantic Bushcraft Adventures. Tonight we're on episode 294, and it is that wonderful time of year where we are going to start talking about Christmas gift ideas for the bushcrafter in your life, or maybe yourself. Maybe you're playing Santa to yourself this year, and you're just looking for the next neat thing to purchase for your equipment load up there. So we've compiled a few things on our own that we think are pretty good deals, or at least ideas for the range of bushcrafter out there, regardless if you are just getting into it, you have some experience into it, or you consider yourself a seasoned veteran. Hopefully we have found something here for everybody that will at least pique their interest and give them a grin this holiday season. So how do you want to go about this, Ben?
Ooh, that's a good one. We have in the past gone by cost. I think this year we've noticed a couple of trends, so we could choose styles.
Sure.
So what do you want to start with? Sharp?
Yeah, we can go with Sharp. So the first one, and I'm going to apologize right now, folks. It's been a while since I've done a split where it's Ben and I on a website. I'm rusty, but here we go. We're going to try this. And it's already going to snot. All right. Oh, hold on a second. Everybody can watch me do this. As you notice, Ben is not actually in the video, but right now we have up the Victorinox Swiss Army 5393-1 Fieldmaster pocket knife. So this was something you added there, Ben, for cutting. It was a good one to start with because it has a little bit of everything. Why don't you walk us through this one? And I'm going to see if I can get your video added into us here so you can join us on this conversation.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, Swiss Army knife is quite possibly one of my most favorite items that I use literally daily. I always have a Swiss Army knife in my pocket. I look for one that would be very good for bushcrafting. This one, and I don't see it, I was going to pull up the image. It had a lot of the tools that I like. I remember it had an awl. I think it has scissors. I know it had the saw. Of course, it has knife blades. And it has the other little accessories in there that just make it a useful tool in the woods. There's a hunter one that's almost identical. Both are about the same price. I cannot say enough good things. It is a classic. Swiss Army knife is something that I think everyone has at some point either owned and carried. And, you know, they have a cult following for a reason.
And I can't agree with you more there, Ben. Like a Swiss Army knife, it may not be your bushcrafting belt knife, but there is definitely a place in every kit for a Swiss Army knife. There's just so much rolled into such a small, well-built piece of tool. Like,
yes,
there's a reason why everybody says a Swiss Army knife. You know what I mean? There's a reason that name comes up first and why there's imitations and people say, oh, that's an imitation Swiss Army knife. There's some quality behind that thing.
Oh, man. And there is. And I have to, just because it looks like a Swiss Army knife doesn't mean it's a Swiss Army knife. I'm not necessarily a brand guy, you know that, but I have seen some of the knockoffs and the metal quality, the finish on the tooling parts of it, like the screwdrivers, and other things, it's just not the same. It just doesn't have that overall quality, that finish and feel, and it matters. It matters when you're trying to carve with it or cut with it. Do you have to get this exact version? No, you do not. There are different ones. Choose the one that has the options you really want. But I have yet to have a Swiss Army knife that I did not thoroughly enjoy and did not think was an awesome piece of equipment. Is every Swiss Army knife good for every job? Absolutely not. But you usually can find one that does 90% of what you need, and it's something that fits in your pocket. You forget about it, but when you need it, it's there. And any bushcrafter, any outdoors person, any person who works with their hands and enjoys doing stuff will honestly appreciate a Swiss Army knife. You just cannot go wrong with it.
No, and I can't agree with you more. The one thing that I will say about it is for us bushcrafters out there, if you're trying to buy for the bushcrafter in your life, it's really hard for us to carry a belt knife around in our daily lives. You know what I mean? Like if you have a 6-inch blade, it has to be displayed so you're not breaking laws in Canada. But if you're hauling around a knife, walking around the public, people tend to get nervous. It's the world we live in. Whatever. One of these is an awesome everyday carry just to have in your pocket because it gives you a little bit of everything you need. It's going to function great in your day-to-day life, like Ben was saying there. You can do everything from opening letters and boxes to, I know mine, I use it all the time to cut the tags off stuffed animals and clothing for my youngest daughter, where she has autism there. She has these sensory issues, and those scissors, man, just when you need them, you need them. That's all there is to it. You know what I mean? And nothing can replace it.
I've lost count the number of times people see me with the pocket knife. Like, why do you carry that around? And I'm like, I've yet to have a day I haven't used it, so I don't know how you survived this long.
How do you not carry one around? You know what I mean?
What have you been doing all your life? Like, do you constantly look for knives and scissors all the time? Because I have one on me, and it's awesome.
All right. So to keep us on track, Ben, because we got a lot to cover and a short time to do it in. Is that good with you, man?
Yeah.
All right. So next up, we do have the Sulcata Camping Hatchet, 10.5-inch survival axe. And this one's coming on to us from Amazon. And right now, folks, it's actually on a Black Friday deal, $34.39. Plus, you can get an extra 10% on with a coupon code. And no, we're not plugging this because we get a kickback from Amazon because we are not smart enough to do that. We are just showing you stuff that we thought was good and is on sale. So don't think that you're supporting us. We think these things, I mean, hopefully you support us, but these things are honestly just things we think are good gifts. Absolutely no kickback to us. No brand affiliation, as Ben was saying, just to make that clear, folks. So anyway, once again, this one, I didn't actually have a comparable one to it, Ben. You kind of put that on there. I missed axes altogether when I was putting my list together, I'm ashamed to say. So I'm just going to follow your lead.
Well, I mean, you know me. I am a fan of axes. Some bushcrafters will turn around and say, "Oh, the saw is the better method." I love my axes. Fiberglass handle. It's gonna last. It's gonna work. If you do manage to break it, it's not very repairable, but it has some cool features to it. I mean, the fact that it has the paw on the back, you can use it like a hammer. There's some tooling there. It looks like you could use it to tighten a nut if you were in a tight bind. And I think it said something about, no, maybe not this one. There was a couple I looked at, but I think it has a face cover. Can you slide to the next picture?
So this does come with a bit of a belt sheath there. Face cover, as you said.
Yeah, so but yeah, with 20% off, another $10 coupon, you're coming out of this thing with $25 Canadian. It is hard to beat that.
Yeah, for any kind of a half-decent axe. And I mean, here's the thing. There's all kinds of axes that cost a lot of money. They're really neat, real nice, real comfortable, ergonomic, great for split and chopping, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is, a nice little hatchet goes a long way around the campsite. When you're trying to split up your kindling, you want to do some finer work than you can do with, say, a pole axe, but a little rougher than what you're going to do with your belt knife. So if you're starting to carve out a Cusca, or you're starting to do a spoon or something like that, I like to hammer mine out with a little hatchet. And I think in the past, I've brought the little hatchet Melissa has, my wife. It's literally like one of those Red Trail 6-inch tall jobbies, and I absolutely love it for carving.
An honorable mention has to go with the Fiskars and Gerber axes with the hollow handle, which is perfect size for a Bic lighter.
It's in the truck, damn it, it's not by the stove. I was going to say, I just used mine. It's out there probably by the kindling, but I had it in the woods. I made a little fire in the woods, and I brought it with me to cheat.
I just took mine the other day. I put a Bic lighter in there, some fire starter. Everything's hooked up to a string so I can pop it all out in an emergency. It's hard to beat a good little hatchet. I think the one I got is a 0.7 or something. It's, a good hatchet, hard to go wrong with. Try to find something that's lightweight and flexible, like usable for a lot of things. You can knock down small trees with it. You can split your firewood with it. You can put your tent pegs in. You can do rough carving. Get yourself partway there. And it's just a beauty to have something like that. It really can make some big tasks go a lot easier, and something that trying to use a saw oftentimes just can't get the same effect. So, not knocking saws. Saws are important. I'm sure we'll talk about saws yet, but um, yeah, what's next?
So that's kind of our cutting. So we're going to go this 5C's way. Why don't we do cooking next? Does that work for you?
Cooking. Yeah, I have been known to enjoy a good meal.
I think we both kind of have been known to enjoy and indulge the odd meal here. So the first one we have up's one you threw on there. I have something similar, but Ben actually had the better selection on this, so we're going to go with his. This is the Odoland Portable Camping Cookware Set, equipment, heat, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it's a camp set. This one specifically kind of talked out to Ben a little bit, so why was your grab at this one, Ben, instead of another one?
So I was looking for something reasonably priced. What was going through my mind is what could somebody who maybe doesn't have this kit, this is what's slowing them down. They want something that was reasonably priced and had some functions I liked. So it comes with the stove, it comes with the cup, you got a little bowl, a bigger bowl, you have stabilizers, you also have a fork, knife, and spoon. So it's pretty well your full cook system right there in a very neat package that looks like it all fits together well. There's radiation fins on the bottom to get your most out of your heat from your stove. So it should be a really efficient burn. So again, it's on a deal right now. Less than $50. You get a couple of pots, a mug, looks like a cleaning cloth. And yeah, you have this windproof heat efficiency ring on the bottom, which a couple companies have come out with. I'm trying to Jetboil maybe was the first
Jetboil,
one.
I think that's the one you're thinking of. Yes.
And then now FireMake will make something similar. So there's a few companies that have ripped them off since. But yeah, an all-in-one kit that fits in small and neat and tidy. And this will do one person anywhere from an afternoon trip to a 10-day trip. Like you can really, a set like this can get you going for quite a while. It's everything you need for a multi-day trip. The only limiting factor in this one is how much fuel you take, and that's up to you, right?
I mean, the sweet deal about this one, my 2 cents on it, is everybody's got to eat. You know what I mean? You're not going to go in the woods and not eat, unless you're doing some fasting or something like that. But if you're going in, even camping, hiking, something like that, we all love to sit down and have a bite to eat, and a hot meal really makes a good outing. You know what I mean? Even if it's just to heat up the soup or heat up a cup of tea, and this kit will do all of it. I liked that. Like I said, and I will talk about the one I had pulled up there, just kind of in conjunction with it, because I'm sure you can weigh in on this as well. And it was just like the Lytix titanium pot. And I know you have something very similar, Ben. It's a 750 mil titanium pot. It's just a nice size. This was the piece of cook kit that I kind of picked out. It's got a lid. It's got kind of a strainer on top of it. Once again, kind of like you were looking at there, Ben, just not quite to the full extent that you had. That's why I liked yours. But a lot of outdoors guys, they like the titanium. It's super light, super tough. It transfers heat incredibly well, so be careful with it that way. But that's kind of a two-way street as well. It absorbs heat fast, releases heat fast. It's a super thermal conductive material, I guess. But anyway, a lot of people do tend to like the titanium. It's way more lightweight than stainless steel, and it doesn't have any of the drawbacks of aluminum if you're down that line of thinking.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid pot. I have a similar pot, very, very similar. The only thing this doesn't have that I would have really liked to see is maybe the hanging. What do they call it? Not
like
a lanyard.
The bail?
Bailing. Yeah, bailing. There's no provisions for a bailing wire on this.
Right there. There's two of them on there. And it's actually... yep.
Yeah, but to hang it above the fire.
Yeah, I just flipped the image over. This one has the bail on top. There's two of them on that picture. You can get the one without the bail or the one with the bail.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, so I might lean towards the one with the bailing wire. Now, the one I had that had a bailing wire fell off, and I replaced it with a piece of rabbit snare. But, it's Yeah, you can boil your water, you can cook your dehydrated meals, you can do so much with one of these. Again, that and a stove, and actually just a fire, you can make everything from a cup of coffee to a three-course meal, if you don't mind a one-pot three-course meal, in the woods. You know what I mean? Like it can do everything you want. Lightweight, doesn't take up a lot of room, and you should be able to fit a small stove inside of that. So you can make a really solid kit out of just that and a stove, to be honest with you. Um,
And yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Was like, well, I just grabbed the cup. A lot of folks already have kind of a cook kit they work with, which is much like what I have. But I
yeah.
always love the addition of something like that, especially for a day trip, because it's everything you need, not a lot of what you don't. It's just the perfect size for one person, like you said.
Yep.
Let me just bounce back here. Let's see. We got the Drifting Spore. Steve and Danny are both with us here tonight. Let's see. Late night tonight. Me, not you. I need a frying pan. And you know what? Just on that line there, Steve, frying pans, you can still find some great titanium cook sets. I didn't put them on here because the price does tend to go up fairly hefty with titanium, depending on the company and stuff you buy there. But you can get full titanium cook sets that come with small frying pans, and they are absolutely marvelous, my friend. If you have not tried one yet, I do suggest that you try to latch a hold of somebody's to give it a try out. Titanium really is kind of neat, in all honesty. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've got a small cup and a bigger cup. I'm looking for a bigger pot that I can fit the whole thing in for when I go with my family. And I like the fact that if you pick them right, you can nest them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Next up on the thing here, we have pocket stove, or, you know, just one of these little icy butane kind of stove heads. I have one of these. I have one on my list. You got one on your list. I just happened to grab yours because it was up there first. There's several different varieties of these, and you can range them anywhere in price. I think I picked mine up for $11, and I've seen them go as high as like $80. You know what I mean?
So this is the BRS 3000T. If you look BRS up, you'll often find this thing on there. It is the lightest weight, smallest, most basic stove I think you can buy.
And I was going to say, I actually like the design of this one a little more than mine, simply because the way that the fuel comes out, it has those little fins in it to kind of give it that spirally vortex. I care less about the vortex more than the design because it's less prone to clogging. It works better, more effectively. You know what I mean? The top of mine is like the old propane burner style, where it's just a bunch of holes and everything kind of comes up through it. And I find a tendency they get dirty fast if you have them in your backpack or dirt gets into them or whatever, and then they don't work effectively.
I don't know if they have a picture of this one folded up so you can get a true idea of how small this thing is, but it literally takes up no space, and it weighs like, I think, 21 grams or something ridiculous. 25 grams. It's road tip. 25 grams.
So I don't know who this person is here. It just says Amazon customer verified purchase. They have a great picture off it next to a lighter to give you an idea of how big this thing is.
It is. It's so cheap. It's so efficient for everything. Like maybe not. Yeah, it is tiny. The bag I have mine in is probably 2 inches by 2 inches, and it zips up, and I got a repair kit in there with it. It's ridiculous. I take it off times. It doesn't work well with big pots. If you have a big, say a 1 liter or 2 liter pot, it'll boil it. Don't get me wrong, but by the time it boils, the fins are probably so hot that it'll get weak, and the weight will cause it to fail. I've had that happen, but if you're boiling your 750 mil pot like you showed, then honestly, it'll do that all day long, and you know it's solid. You really do.
It's amazing how efficient they are with the fuel. You know what I mean? Like a canister really does you a long time with one of those little stoves, providing that, like you said, you're not trying to cook a 2 liter pot with it or something like that. You keep it to the 750 mil and under, man, they work all day, every day.
So Drifting Spore mentioned something about needing a frying pan. And I'm going to throw an idea out there. Take it or leave it. Those little pot grabber that you can use and grab different types of pots, and a pie pan makes an awesome frying pan in the woods. It is dirt cheap and easy to carry around. There's no real weight to it. Just your standard thin pie pan. And if you damage it, who cares? You just replace it. It's $3-4 at the dollar store.
Listen, I used to use Jiffy Pop pans as frying pans. Cooked popcorn, eat
Yeah.
popcorn, clean them out, use it as frying pan. When it's all said and done, you just burn it off and keep the wire on the way out. You can use it for something else. I'm not endorsing burning your garbage. It just happens to be that about halfway through frying, it generally catches on fire anyway because there's paper in it.
I'm not talking about the aluminum ones, the steel ones, but yeah, it's
Oh,
the cheapest
okay.
way. I have been using one with a folding handle. It's pretty good, I gotta say, but if you're looking for a cheap, easy option, honestly, it's hard to beat a pie pan, like
I'm wondering if
steel
mine's
pie pan.
right here. I don't think it is, though. No. Oh, maybe. Aha! This is kind of a two-part kit that I have here. And there's two different types of styles of frying pans in it, and these are definitely on the budget-friendly side of things. This is kind of close to what most people would end up with. This is your aluminum with copper bottom, just a couple folding handles. These are great to kind of get you going, and they're dirt cheap. The thing is, I don't like the handles on them. They're very, like, they're just a ton of play on them, and they always fold up. So the next one I went with, and I actually do like this design. It's the entire cook kit's kind of, this is stainless with a copper bottom, but this has
I have that same kit.
You do? They're a pretty nice little kit. I don't care for the little stuff inside. I have it there just as a backup kit if anybody needs to borrow it. But just this right here, this actually makes a nice little frying pan. You know what I mean? And I know there's a trick to this somehow, and I can't remember what the heck it is, but you can get this so it doesn't look so redonkulous there. And that works out as a nice little frying pan. And I prefer the stainless steel just because it's a little more durable. That's all. Not for any other reason than the durability.
But yeah, there's a lot of things you can't substitute a frying pan for. And frying a good steak, doing up some mushrooms and onions, it's hard to do it in a pot. Even a good egg, a frying pan comes in handy. So I do have one I have one similar to that, but I also have one that's just a frying pan with not a kit, and the handle folds inside. The only problem I have with the handle always seems to be in the way when I'm not using it.
And that's why I like your idea of just having one of those pot grabbers that kind of pick everything up and move it out of the way. That's a pretty good idea. I may have to give that a shot myself.
We bought an MSR cook kit. It's a bit larger, and it has that pot hanger, and we actually have two of them for when the whole family goes. One's, I think, a 3-person kit, and the other's a 4-person kit. So between the 5 of us on a bigger trip, it has absolutely everything we want and duplicates of some. But yeah, that same gripper will grab a pie pan very good, and it's an option. They're lightweight and easy to get. So you can also use a pair of Gerber pliers or Leatherman.
I usually end up using my Leatherman or something like that, or Gerber or whatever I happen to have with me that day. Still works though.
Yeah.
All right, cruising right along because we're at 20 minutes and we're nowhere near the halfway point as of yet. Moving on to water because I think that's going to be our next progression. All right. So, next up, something both Ben and I have, we've recommended numerous times in the past, and you really can't beat the bang for the buck you get with this thing. And that's the Sawyer Mini. This thing filters so much water that I think you and I figured out before, one person, it's almost enough water to do your lifetime or something like that. It's like 150,000 gallons.
Yeah. I mean, when people look at it, the numbers on it are really solid. It has basically doubled in price over the last few years. And I still think it's a decent deal. It's hard to beat. Last trip I went, I did not take mine. I regretted it. Every time I've made a trip and not taken my Sawyer Mini, I have regretted that decision. And I do not think I will ever do that again. I have modified mine. A gravity bag works really well with it. It doesn't advertise to be used with a gravity bag, but I guarantee it works fine. It is slow, but honestly, you fill your bag, you hang it up, you put your pot underneath or whatever you're filling up, you do camp chores. When you turn around, chances are it's either full or overfilled. And at 150,000 gallons, I'm not worried about using up my lifetime.
They have changed that. It's now rated up to 100,000 gallons. So, I apologize. Still a lot of water. You know what I mean? That's
quite a few swimming pools.
Yeah. So their stats, for what it's worth, is removes up to 99.99999% of all bacteria such as Salmonella, cholera, and E. coli. Removes up to 99.9999% of protozoa such as Giardia and Cryptosporidium. Removes 100% of microplastics. And does up to 100,000 gallons of water. And the idea behind this whole water filter, if nobody knows or doesn't know how the Sawyer Mini works, it's a whole bunch of little tubes that run in these things, and they're like, what, a half a micron or something like that? Like, they are tiny little tubes. So that being said, keep in mind, this will not get rid of chemicals. You know what I mean?
It says 0.1 microns on there, yeah.
Okay, 0.1 microns. It doesn't get rid of chemicals. So if you were to, like, downriver from a farm or something like that, you still may have some worries. They do recommend boiling the water when in doubt. I don't know if I've ever boiled water that's come out of the Sawyer Mini that's I've taken out of a river or a lake, and I'm fairly certain that it's fairly flowy water. And I'm not saying don't do it, folks. I'm just saying I know I have skimped on the boiling process, and I'm still alive.
But I think the big point here, because I have a couple on the list there. You can throw a couple of another one.
Yeah, there's a couple different ones there too. That just happens to be the Sawyer Mini. I like it for bang for buck. Up next, you got the Sawyer 1 gallon gravity filter system, which is basically a Sawyer Mini with a gravity bag on it, isn't it?
Yes, it is 100%. I love a gravity bag. It's hard to beat that, and honestly, there's so much out there now about people picking up parasites and viruses and stuff through water and bacteria that a good filter system seems like a no-brainer to me. And this seemed like a pretty good deal as a setup. Not cheap. You can make it cheaper just by buying the Mini at $50 and getting a cheap. What I've been using is the hydration
bags, yeah.
And I look for one that the top opens up really wide, and I just cut the hose and stick mine in the middle there somewhere.
They actually do on the Sawyer's website. They say you can have a Camelback, cut the line, and put this in the middle of the line, and then basically just dump your Camelback, throw it on your back, and you can just drink through. I am going to tell you right now, it is a challenge to pull water through that with your mouth.
Yeah, I agreed, right? So again, Fight 1 micron absolute filters. It's one of the best filters out there. Hard to beat. But this other one I found, it's half the price.
The Membrane Solutions Gravity Water Filter Pro.
Yeah, so pull this one up. This one is it piques my interest. I think it says it actually has a UV filter on it too. And it's also rated at 0.1 microns.
It is?
It is back flushable. And that 6-liter bag looks like it would do a really good job. So similar specs, actually cheaper than a Mini. With this whole full set, it may be a better deal. I have not tested it, people.
I would be interested in picking this up because it also has an active carbon filter in it, which will actually neutralize some tastes. That is one of the drawbacks to the Sawyer Mini itself. You're not getting rid of any of the taste. You still get a lot of tannin taste. You can get silty tastes, you know what I mean? But it's just a taste. It doesn't hurt you in any way, shape, or form.
So, yeah, you have the similar type filter. You have the carbon filter, and it's replaceable from what I understand. Cotton, you keep going through. It's got similar the 0.1 micron how it filters, so it's in there. I think if you look at the LifeStraw and stuff, it's 1 micron. So those are not quite as good. Still a hell of a lot better than nothing, people. Any filter is better than no filter.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, the more filtration, the absolute better it is. You have a backwash system. They just use a pop bottle, which is really easy. You don't have to worry about the syringe. Yeah. So I think it's a system that you could easily use.
I might be interested in picking one of these up. Somebody's been looking.
I may yet too.
Somebody has been asking me what they can get me for Christmas. A recent family member, they're a big Amazon online shopper because I'm pretty sure they just want to buy something and have it shipped to me. this may be what's going to them, and I may be giving this a try out, because this looks like an interesting system, Ben. Good find on this one.
It's a full system. It looks good. I am definitely piqued by it. The specs are good. So if anyone ever gets it, I really want to hear about it, but chances are we will be getting one and testing it ourselves. They have two sizes, the 1 gallon and the 6 liter. Both would probably be quite adequate. But I am a huge fan of gravity filter systems anyways. So, yeah, I checked the specs out on this morning. And, yeah, it made a list. If you have somebody spending time out in the woods and they're traveling any amount, you can't carry the amount of water you need for a long trip, water filter is the way to go. You cannot go wrong with a water filter.
And water's heavy. Even if you can have the room to carry it, it can be exhausting to carry any amount of water. I generally, when I'm going in the woods, this just happens to be a bottle I have here, but I bet you I don't have any more water, well, maybe a little bit more water than that on me at any given time. I pick my water up as I go.
Yeah. Similar to me, water on me while I'm traveling is rarely more than a liter and a half at the absolute most.
Yeah.
That's what I'm carrying, and when that runs out, I fill it back up and I filter it. It is a foolproof method for me. I am not in a place where water is scarce. It's questionable sometimes. So as long as I have a way to filter it, I am solid. So yeah, water filtration systems, highly recommend them. There are some options out there. The higher the filtration, the gold standard right now is about 0.1 microns. If it's better than that, and you can back flush it, then you can pretty well use it indefinitely, and it'll get you through any trip and probably last you for years to come. I know my first Sawyer Mini is still running strong.
Oh, mine's still great. It's still in my backpack. And once again, folks, take care of them. I back flush mine with clean water, like they say, but then I come home and I take distilled water and back flush it a second time and dry it really good, because I know it could go long times in between before I'm using it again. And I just don't want anything grow inside it, and I want to make sure that it's 100% dry, and I leave it out and air it and all that good stuff. And I have never had a moment's trouble with it, in all honesty. The only thing I will say about that system, careful with it in sub-zero temperatures. As long as the water's flowing, it's not going to have a tendency to freeze quickly, but once the water stops, and if it's sitting inside there, it could freeze, break a lot of those tubes, and now it's not effectively doing its job, and it's probably letting contaminants and stuff through the broken tubes and stuff. So just keep that in mind. One last little thing on water before we move on, because I found this, and I thought it was kind of rinky-dink, but neat. If you have somebody on your list, they have a Sawyer Mini, they take it around always like I do, and you're looking for something to maybe go with it, they do make a carrying case for it, which it's semi-hard and protects everything so it can't get crushed and stuff. May not be for everybody, but it is a neat sub-$20 item.
Yeah, I did see that today.
All right. Where's my thingamadoodle here? We're not up to that point yet. You stay back there. Where do you want to move on to from there, Ben? You get to pick the next topic.
Shelters.
Shelters. All right. So we do have a couple of these. Do you want that poncho to fall under shelter or miscellaneous?
Sure, we can throw that under shelter. You want to start with that now you mention it?
Yeah, might as well, seeing the cat's already out of the bag on that one. But just give me one sec here. All right, where's the poncho? There it is. Let's transition over. Man, I'm actually learning to do stuff here. Okay, so this is a poncho, and this just happens to be the one you picked there. It's an Oprit rain poncho, multifunction waterproof raincoat with hood for adult. But I mean, there's many makes of poncho, but it's surprising how much protection a poncho will go and how little room you need to store one. There is emergency ponchos, which you can pick up from the dollar store and stuff like that. They're generally one-time use because you're never getting them back in that bag, and the second you put them on, they start to rip. But this one here, this is actually a multi-use and looks like fairly decent quality for the price you're paying, for around $20.
Yeah, I bought one. I don't know if it's the exact model that we are showing here, but I have one this fall on my most recent trip. Same thing, it had the grommet holes. I think mine might have had a a pocket in the front. The whole thing folded up in a little pouch. And it definitely got me through my trip, and it's still good, and I've used it since. Took up very little room, much better than a rain jacket. When I was canoeing, I was able to readjust it to help me paddle better. I didn't feel restricted like I do in jackets sometimes. I find like it restricts my movement. Next thing you know, I'm either tearing it or sweating in it. If it was getting too hot, I could open it a little bit more on the sides. Kept me dry, worked well. It can double as a shelter, so put the four corners out and you can get under the rain and not be covered in your jacket. You're still breathing.
Also works as a good ground sheet if you just want to lay something out and put your stuff down.
100%. No, and it less than $25. What can you get for $25 these days, right? This is a rain jacket. It's a shelter. It's a ground sheet. It's
everything you need it to be, as long as your imagination will run it that way.
Yeah. It's I don't know what the open dimensions are. Maybe it shows it.
It does. It shows the open dimensions at 4.6 feet by 7.2 feet. That's full open. That's a pretty big.
That's enough to cover you. You can sleep under that. That is a full shelter.
Let's see. Actually, they say that you probably have enough for you and your backpack.
Yep.
So, moving on. Next up, we have a 4-person, 5-pound lightweight TP hot tent with stove jack. This actually is probably one from last year, Ben. I'm not going to lie, but there was a better price on this one. $172 because it's on for 20% off. And you did have another one there, Ben, but they're basically the same one. So I just pulled this one up. I think this is when we had it last year. And it just happened to be on sale this year. But it's a nice tent. It is also a good entry point price for a hot tent setup.
So yeah, this was the one from last year. The other one I have is much bigger. So the other one I have is designed for like a small group, and I think it's on the list of.
I got both of them up here side by side.
Okay, I'm a few seconds delayed. Hot tent. Absolutely love my hot tents. I've used them year round, not always with the stove. It's lightweight. You can get rid of the pole if you want. If you want to make it a little easier to pack up, just all you need is a string, the length of your pole, and when you get the wood, you cut a stick to that length.
Yeah.
That's all you absolutely need. So you can lighten this up, make it a bit more flexible. I mean, a bigger one I think is 11 pounds, so that's a bit much to be dragging around. But it has the room for a family, so if I'm going for a trip with my family, we can all use that. Or if what I found is if I want to use a cot in the other one, at less than 6 feet, it's almost like 5 feet tall, and mine is a little over 10 feet either direction. I did find it that on a cot, I was really crammed for room.
That's fair.
This one's over almost 8 feet tall and like 16 feet in diameter. There's plenty of room in there.
Somewhere. I thought I seen the height on it.
Yeah, 7.9. It's
Yeah, 7.9 feet.
So, anyways, couple of one. This one was on a decent deal.
Yeah, this one's over $100 off. 39% off.
And unlike, say, the Wild Haven that I have, this one seems to have a bit of a skirt that'll cover the ground and give you a bit more ceiling.
This one you can also buy an inner tent piece for it as well, which will give you that floor covering as well as some screen, I assume.
And that's what I have for my Wild Haven. I actually have the screen. It's no longer made. It was made by One Tigress. They have a few on there. There's also Pomali, but they're a bit more expensive, I find. But yeah, it's hard to beat. You know, it's already 39% off. You have another 5% coupon if you buy qualifying items. I looked under the stove jack to go with it is one of the possible options, or the screen, and there's a bunch of other things. There's even a stove. So, yeah. But 10, hard to go wrong with a 10. You know what I mean?
Good staple, and even a little less than that if you're looking for somebody that goes lightweight. And I'm sorry to keep moving us along, Ben. We still got a lot to cover, and time's a wasting. You got a tarp here. A Kalinko waterproof camping tarp. Once again, just a random brand name. This one has a lot of nice tie-outs and stuff on it, which I'm assuming is why you picked it, Ben.
Yeah.
But yeah, any decent camping tarp, and that is one of the big things. You can never have enough tie-outs on a tarp. You will find new ways to do things that you didn't even know, providing you got the tie-outs to make it work.
I love a good tarp. Even if you're hammock camping or anything else, a good tarp. I mean, this one is a hammock rainfly, and that's great. Good tarp keeps you out of the rain, protects your gear. Can be used for so many things. It keeps the wind off of you. It is its own shelter, to be honest with you, and it doesn't take much to make a pretty solid shelter with one of these. And at less than $40.
Yeah, 17% off right now, folks. Black Friday sales. Now's the time to start buying.
If you have somebody who's into the outdoors and you give him a tarp, you've given him hours and hours of entertainment, because he will set that up multiple ways. He will test different things with it. He will sleep under it. Guarantee you, it'll be the best $35 you spend.
100%. And moving right along, this is one that I had thrown in there. This is a hammock sleep system at a half decent price going into it, and I do have a tiny bit of experience with this brand name, the Nightcat. Is it top of the line? No. Is it bottom of the barrel? Definitely not. It's a good medium level that kind of gives you a little bit of everything. And this is that dome-shaped one, too. Not a flat bottom, folks. Don't misunderstand. That's a whole other different type of hammock setup. But if somebody's wanting to get into a full hammock setup, to get into it for $135 isn't a bad price point. And this is going to get you your hammock with bug net, got the tie-outs for the dome to keep that net away from you. Plus, it comes with a rain fly, some basic tie-outs. It does come with tree straps, not rope, which I like, but nothing like whoopee slings or anything like that. It's just going to be your basic ropes, a couple tree straps, a couple anchors, and some tie-outs on it. But I mean, it is a complete system. With this, you add your sleep system, and you are camping.
And what we said before, the hammock, you're not sleeping on the ground. The air mattress is not as important. You can do different methods to keep you warm. I have been using an air mattress in my hammock simply for the insulation value, not for comfort in just laying on top of. The hammock offers that. But yeah, it is something that gives you a very consistent sleep, which I find I can't get on the ground. You know, ground's not always level. Ground's not always flat. Ground's not always warm.
Exactly. And with this one here, the reason I just kind of eyeballed it for the price point was this one is one of the ones, because of that dome pole that comes to keep that net away from you. You can technically set this up as a single person tent on the ground as well. So this kind of gives a little bit of everything. So if somebody wants to try hammock camping, but then finds out they don't like it, they can move to the ground and still have a relatively decent camp out. And like I said, for sub 140. It's a good start. It's a good start is what I'll say. There's definitely things you can change with this. And one of the things I added in, which I don't have up, but I guess now is the perfect time to mention it, would be for any of the hammock campers out there, good set of whoopee slings. And these ones here are the exact ones that I had gotten and got Ben to add into my hammock. And if anybody's interested in how to do that, go back and watch the hammock setup video we did. And it'll explain all these. And a set of whoopee slings to any hammock camper, if they don't already have a set, is an amazing upgrade.
Yeah. I've always been interested in a Nightcat. I see them all the time. I might throw out there that the Hennessy is also a good brand, and it's Canadian. So
I don't have any experience with Hennessy. The only reason I have experience with Nightcat is because I do have a buddy locally that has one.
I have a Hennessy. That's what I've been using lately. It's what I used on my last trip. It is my present go-to, although I have a lot of hammocks, so I will go back and forth between them. Whoopee slings. You can't say enough good things about them. I make my own.
And these ones are now way more than what I originally paid. I think I paid $15 for a set of two of mine. I ended up getting two sets of them. They're still $30. And you know what? For the adjustment they give me and what I know now, I would most definitely pay $30 to have a set of whoopee slings on my hammock. Much like yourself, Ben, I would probably just go buy some AM steel or something like that and make my own at this point. But starting off without that experience, for $30, best upgrade you can possibly do. They do make a couple different colors. Blue happens to be up here. I personally bought the yellow ones simply because they came with a little bit of that reflective marking in them, and that way I'm not tripping over my cords in the middle of the night.
I am going to say one thing. When you get them, you're going to say there's no way that's going to hold your weight. It will. It is going to hold your weight. Do not worry. It is way stronger than you think.
Well, I think we did a little talk on Whoopee Slings way back, and yeah. I said I ended up buying 2 sets of these because these things were rated for not hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds, because it's that UHM, WPE, whatever this synthetic crap is. And the first thing I did was hang it from my rafters, and I literally just stood in the hoop and jumped on it. And I mean, it barely moved. And then the next thing I did was loop it around the ball of my truck and pull the car. And I mean, don't get me wrong, folks. We're talking about pulling it on flat ground. I'm not pulling it out of a mud hole. I'm pulling it on flat ground. Put the recovery hook in, wrapped it around twice, and I was able to pull it. And it did not damage the rope, and it didn't look like any major damage was going to happen. So absolutely, this is going to hold you, your significant other, whatever horde of pets you happen to have at home, and probably one of your kids, and not even flinch.
Yeah.
All right, so seeing we're into shelter and sleep systems, we do have that sleeping bag up here. Ben, would you like to talk about that at this point?
Sure thing.
So this is the MEC, the Mountain Equipment Company Draco -9 down sleeping bag. And I do like the fact that you picked a down sleeping bag because down does have a lot of benefits to it. And there's an argument there about down versus synthetic. Not really an argument, discussion. I like the word discussion. But honestly, down is good. Down is warm. Synthetic's warm too, but down lasts.
I chose, interestingly, this is one we didn't go with Amazon, and I chose MEC for a reason. It's a reputable company, and you know you're probably getting a slightly better product. Mine I got is from REI. I know not everyone has access to REI that are in Canada. I assume a lot of our listeners are Canadian. If you are American, go to REI. That's where I bought mine. I bought an REI version, but a hammock, or not hammock, a sleeping bag like this, a down sleeping bag that's rated for -0, will get you through a hell of a lot. Get one that's rated for the trip you're doing, and know that there's a safety factor that you want to accommodate for. A lot of times this number is your comfort number, or not your comfort, is your extreme number. And so if that's your extreme number, you probably want to be looking at something like that'll probably be good till 0, but after 0, you'll start to find yourself cold.
Yeah, so for this specific sleeping bag, and I love MEC because they do this, they actually list the comfort numbers -5 with the extreme limit being -12.
Yes. So, and another reason I chose, a more reputable company. There are some really good ones on Amazon. My first down sleeping bag is from Amazon. I still use it. It's still good. But I have a second one now that I use. You can invest hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on a good down sleeping bag. But if you look around, there are sales. You can get a decent one for a decent price. And companies like MEC, REI, they specialize in this stuff. They get some pretty good products. So if you're looking for something more reliable, do consider these guys. And yes, compare them against Amazon. Compare them against Walmart. You don't know who else. Or Canadian Tire. They sell some of the similar products. But yeah, these guys know what they're talking about, and you'll usually find it's worth supporting them sometimes.
All right, so we're kind of coming up on the odds and sods where we don't have a whole lot of any one thing for the specific topic, but we still have quite a few things kind of on the individuals. Does that make sense? Like, these don't fall into any... Well, they all kind of fall into their own category. But we didn't find multiples of any of these items, so I think it's just worth kind of blowing through them at this point and talking about what they are and what they do. And the first thing, which I don't actually have up here right now, and I know... give me 1 second, I can find it. Ben and I both have one of these things. We've talked about them in the past, and it's one of the ones I threw on the list there, Ben. First one up is just a UCO original candle. We both have the individual candles here. They make them in a few different formats. We're not married to any of them, but For the price you pay for these, once again, they're anywhere from $40-50. Cost has kind of gone up on this. If you keep an eye on them, you can find them in kits where you'll get a couple different parts. The one that I have listed up here is it is considered a kit, quote unquote. It has the candle plus the reflector plus the neoprene sleeve, which is the kit I originally purchased. But anyway, these things work great and they burn a long time. Are they super bright? No, but they are an amazing light to leave on at night, just to see where you are, or just to give enough light so if you're getting in and out of your shelter or something like that, you can see, and it adds a little bit of comfort. I just love mine. Like, even when we go to the cabin to camp, I will light mine and hang it from somewhere so that it just emits just enough glow for the night, so if you got to get up and do something, it's fine. Or if Willie wakes up, she can crack her eyes and see she's not in pitch black. You know what I mean? It is just such a sweet piece of gear.
Yeah, it's definitely a favorite of mine. It doesn't require batteries, which, believe it or not, is a plus for me. I do like the fact that I don't have to worry about the batteries going dead or having to figure how I can recharge it. And I get from a candle about the 8 to 9 hours from it without too much fail. It also provides a fair amount of heat, believe it or not. If you put that inside of your tent or whatever, you are going to notice that it'll take the chill out sometimes, or at least it'll be warmer in there than outside.
I was wondering if I could find the 3 candle version just right quick, but
yeah,
they make a tea light version. Here's the three candle version. And they claim you can actually cook on top of one of these. I think we talked about that before, like cook an egg or something.
It's not badly priced either, if I remember correctly.
It's $62 right now. That's just the first one I pulled up. The UCO.
It's not 3 times as much as the single one. You know what I mean?
Not at all. It's about twice as much, but 3 candles. And significantly more heat from it. Like, if you look up some reviews on these things, people will say, like, they add a significant amount of heat to their tents.
It's something I don't have right now, and I wouldn't be upset if someone gave me. I will... Right? I would be pretty pleased with it.
Here's the tea light version. Not to cut you off, I'm just showing different versions there to people that are watching, and I know you're a few seconds behind. This is the tea light version. $31. You just use common tea lights, but same kind of deal.
Yeah. You'll get a couple hours out of a tea light too, I think, or at least an hour. The nice thing with the 3-1, I think, is in a hot tent, after it's nighttime, and I've decided I'm not going to maintain the stove, that'll help make it not so unbearable when I wake up. And there's enough light then that I can get the stove going when it's time to get up. That's a cute little model. I do like that. That is cute.
I scrolled down really quick. They claim you can get between 3 to 4 hours out of a tea light.
Wow.
So efficiency-wise, the tea light versus the long candles is actually better.
Yeah.
And you can buy tea lights for anywhere. You can buy a bag of those things. What's that?
You pick up a big bag, 50 tea lights for like next to nothing.
That's what I was just about to say. You can buy a bag of tea lights. I think I bought a bag of 100 of them from the dollar store once. Like $4, whatever it was.
So, yeah. I was a favorite of both of us.
All right, moving on. This is a quick one I had, only because recently, and somebody that is potentially still listening to us in the background, we had a conversation about this, flint and steel. And this set here is a nice way to get into it. It's $30, 32, 34 to be honest with you. But it comes with the steel, a nice high carbon content striker, a small piece of flint, and a couple pieces of char cloth. So it gets you everything out of the gate to at least get you trying it and see what you need to do. I also like this old design like this because it provides some knuckle protection. And that is kind of one of the things that some people have a hard time with their strikers, is they're always nipping their fingers and they get discouraged. And there is kind of a knack to flint and steel. So this is a good way to get into it, give it a try. And like I said, see if it's for you. And then once you figure out if it's for you, you can go on to making your own strikers, go finding your own flint or chert or quartz or whatever you can. You can make your own char cloth, but this gives you a good bought just to start for $30. So once again, this is a great gift for, and if you have a significant other that's into bushcrafting, they've always talked about how they want to do primitive fire. This is a good place to start.
100%. Yep.
All right. Skipping right along, we have the Flex Trail Gear Zero Pump, Ben, and this is one of yours, and you have experience with one of these. I don't. So I'm going to leave you on this.
I have the previous version, which is a little fatter. I think maybe a little bit shorter. But it is a solid device. I've taken it on multiple trips now. It provides... I don't know if this one has the light on it. Mine has a light on it. But it is able to pump up a mattress and deflate the mattress quite quickly. Some people will turn around and tell you, oh, this is a luxury item. You don't need it. These people have never tried it.
By their logic, you don't need your sleeping bag or your air mattress or any of that in the summer. They're luxury items. You'll survive, but you'll be so much happier with them.
So one of the things with your air mattresses, so mine is the Tiny Pump 2X, I think. But this is the new version of it. It's a little bit lighter. It's quite powerful. It puts out a lot of air. And honestly, it keeps your air mattresses drier. There's less moisture in them. And it works. It really does work. And there's nothing worse than trying to blow up your air mattress at the end of the day, have a hard day, where you can just put that in. I plug mine in, I hit the button, I walk away, I do a couple of quick things, and I come back and I pull it out.
Funny enough, I found yours. You said yours was the 2X, the Tiny Pump 2X. It's on sale too for $42.49.
Yeah. So any one of these, there are other brands out there too. I happen to like the FlexTail. If you're looking for something, mine, I have the rubber cover on it. I also have a cover on it that diffuses the light, and it's just like a little glowing mushroom. And there's one that looks like a flame. Either way, they're awesome. I do enjoy it. There's a little bit of pleasure in knowing you don't have to blow up your mattress by mouth, or you're not there trying to roll a bag or whatever, right? And this one, yeah, it has a magnet. You stick it on, like it's multi-use for sure.
All right, next thing up, another one of yours, Ben. Adventure Medical Kits, ultralight and watertight. And I think was there a specific reason you chose this one?
It was a bit bigger than the other one. It's waterproof. It's pretty packable. And I just wanted to get like that as an idea. Find a decent first aid kit.
And that's where I was. I just had a basic first aid kit. I left this one on because we didn't need doubles. And I'm with you. Yeah. Every outdoors person can definitely use a decent first aid kit. And that can be any kind of variety off it. And if they already have one, guaranteed they're going to pick the parts they like from as many as they have and tailor what they take into the woods.
Yeah. But it's a good starting point. I like this one because it was compact and waterproof. So if you're doing trips in the woods, it's the chances are you're going to fall in the water. It's going to rain. This one's on sale right now for about half off. So hard to beat that too. We've often talked about it. We recommend you go with first aid kit. This is one that I think will do it. It doesn't necessarily have everything you could ever want, but it has quite a bit.
All right, up next. And you had a couple books on there, and I just had books in general, so I left the two you had. You have edible wild plants as well as wild edible mushrooms. So these are field guides.
Did. Yes, and I have some of these books, and honestly, I love them. I use them fairly often, and sometimes I do take them with me, sometimes I don't. But when I find something, I'll go back and look at it. I mean, especially the Peterson field guides, I've really enjoyed those. I got a few of those. If you're into the outdoors, you are at some point in time, you're going to end up wanting to try edible, to gather your own food. Something like this is a godsend, really. It helps you in so many ways. It's hard to beat. So, yeah.
Sweet. And like I said, there's more than just these two. These are wild edible plants and wild edible mushrooms, but there's things like berries and tree identification, animal identification. There's field guides for tons of stuff out there, and anybody that spends times in the woods will definitely find a use for any kind of a field guide.
There's tracking ones. There's bushcraft ones. The Morse Kansky one. There's so many books out there. And your bushcrafting buddy, friend, lover, whatever it happens to be, brother, sister, parent, child, when they're not out there, when they can't get out, this is a way they can kind of enjoy it anywhere. And who doesn't love curling up with a good book on a horrible night? You know what I mean?
100%. Next thing up, something everybody should have in the woods is a good compass. I had a Barton in there, so it was a little more pricey. The Silva was going for a good price. We'll take a look at that one. This is the Silva, holy crap, Expedition S compass. It doesn't have to be a Silva. Just get yourself a decent reputable compass. You know what I mean? Don't go with the dollar store ones, though I'm sure they're fine. I don't know if I'd trust my life to one. Get one that has a little bit of backing.
That was my thought. When I looked at this one, it had a few of the features I really liked. I love the ones with the mirror. It has everything you need. It has the scales on there and quite a variety of them. In fact, you can navigate quite well with these here. I think it has declination ability. It has the little things I'm looking for on them. Find a decent compass. It should always be part of your kit. At least one compass per group, if not per person, is pretty well important. It's not the cheapest piece of gear you're going to carry. Like, you notice we found stoves, we found tarps, we found a lot of stuff much, much cheaper that we recommended. We do recommend a decent compass.
Absolutely. I still use my Silver Ranger. Still my go-to compass. I gotta
look
replace
at the strap
it.
on this one. The strap can be used to measure.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. I was flipping through the photos, going, "What is that?" And it's actually a measuring device. It has scales on it, 1 to 25. A couple other ones there too. So I mean, it's a good package for $90. It's better than the Barton I had in there, like just for bang for the buck. You know what I mean?
So you lay your map out, and you can lay that on. You can even sort of choose your path. And then you can figure out the distances because it's scaled for that, right? You can say, oh, it is 5 kilometers. Even though maybe it's only 2 kilometers away, that's what you're going to travel. So things like that just come in really handy. I like the fact they put some thought into it. It's got night enabling Loomis, so it glows. Yeah, you can, this is going to help you travel in adverse conditions if you know what you're doing. And we talked about books. Get a good one on navigation. If you're not comfortable with navigation, that'll help you learn. So yeah, 100%.
Funny enough, I just added that to my own wish list so I can go back to it. Because like I said, I actually kind of like this one better than the Barton I was looking at.
Yeah.
Bumping along, foldable canvas belt bag, and I straight up said I liked the idea of this right the second I seen it. For $20, it gives you a dump pouch, is basically what we used to call them. Folds up into a nice, neat little pouch. You pop the top, bam, this big dump pouch where you could dump in any kind of like pine needles you're gathering up, or berries, or mushrooms if that's your thing and you know enough about them. Whatever you can use this thing for.
Yeah, and this doesn't have to be the one you go with. I've seen a bunch of versions of this idea, but honestly, yeah, a little something you can carry: berries, mushrooms, fire tinder, birch bark, whatever you want to carry, you can carry into these things. This one I like the aesthetics of, to be honest with you. And it's, again, bushcrafters going to love it. An extra bag never goes astray. And this is something that can be on your belt, and that means when you're out walking around and you realize you need that, you can get it without having to open up your pack and pull it out. Yeah.
And I mean, it's fairly capable. Its folded size is 4 inches by 3 inches, basically, and it pops open to 8.3 to 8.3, which is a pretty big bag, and it's capable of holding almost 67 pounds. Like, it's well built, you know what I mean? I like it.
Yeah. So yeah, just that sort of out of the thought thing that this might not be where everyone's mind goes when they're thinking.
A
But
bushcrafter would always want it, rarely buy it for themselves. Kind of like the next product, which is the Trekology Ultralight Camping Chair. And Ben and I both have different versions or different names. Actually, mine might be Trekology. I can't remember. Anyway, we have similar product, potentially different brand name, hard to say. But this is a luxury item if there ever was one. But it's none of those luxury items. Once you've had it, it's hard to go back.
I like this one. I've had some Trekology products. I don't have this one, but I did like it. It seems to pack up pretty neat. But a chair, something you can sit on in the woods, means so much. I do recommend with all of these, doing something with the feet. They tend to sink into the ground. Tennis balls work well. Mine, I lost the feet a little while ago, and I bought some.
Actually, I do have the Trekology one. I got the next one up because it clearly says at the top, if anybody's watching there at home, you currently bought this one back in 2022. The reason I went with this one and just not the other one we showed there, folks, and the only reason I bring it up, if you are a little fluffier than the 250 pounds the other one limits you to, this one will go up to, I think it's 400 pounds. 300 pounds, sorry. It's just a little more sturdy built.
This is the one I have, and I just replaced the feet with ones off Temu that are significantly bigger and I had to use some hot glue to make up the difference in size. But now I don't think I'm going to sink in anything. But yeah, folding chairs, every time I've gone in the last 2-3 years, we've all ended up bringing up chairs, and anyone who didn't seems to always be looking for a place to sit. Or they steal your chair. So a good chair is it's a luxury item, but it's a must-have luxury item in my opinion. I am no longer camping without a chair.
All right, and to round off the night, this is probably one of the more expensive things we have on here, but if you are looking for that big gift for the bushcrafter in your life, and this is probably going to be a significant other or somebody that is probably more meaningful to you just because of the price point on it, but it is an amazing piece of gear to have. And I know you got a lot of experience with this one, Ben, so I'll let you talk about it. This is the Garmin InReach Mini 2.
Yes. Now I have this one here. I took it on my last trip. I've taken it on numerous trips now. I did have an incident with this on my last trip where the screw in the back fell off and I lost it in the river, and I went back and I found it in the river, which was surprising. But the ability to send and receive messages when there is no cell phone service, there's nothing around, offers so much comfort to both yourself and your loved ones that I would say it is almost a no-brainer. There's other products. I love Garmin products, to be honest with you. Not always. Some of their older GPSs really didn't do it for me. But I have their watch now. I have this, and they now have a solar-powered GPS that I'm really interested in. But this here, bang for your buck. If there's a Garmin product that you should get, they also have a messenger one that's pretty neat. But bang for your buck, their satellite system is something that you really want to consider. The ability to send a message to your loved one, tell them that I'm fine, I'm setting up for the night, for them to be able to reach back and tell you that everything's fine there, or you need to turn around and come back, or that there's a tornado coming through your area and you need to be aware of it. It works, and I have had all three of those scenarios, so... So, you know, what do you do when someone tells you there's a tornado coming? You thank them and you just continue because there's nothing you can do about it. But at least you're aware and you're able to sort of be prepared and make sure that you're aware of the issues. But yeah, the ability to send that message.
So if you folks want more information on the InReach 2, we did do a podcast on it before previously. Just go search back there. Or if you want to know why they are useful, we also did an interview with a fellow named Jonathan who actually had to use a similar device down in the States to get himself bailed out of a sticky situation. So I encourage you folks to go back and listen to those podcasts because there was a lot of good stuff covered on those. And I think they were some of the better episodes we've done.
Yeah.
Not that the rest of them weren't amazing either, don't get me wrong, but they were good episodes. A lot of good information came out of them.
I mean, if there's a place you're probably going to want to be okay with spending the money, I can tell you I have 3 daughters and a wife, and they do worry when I'm gone, or I assume they do. Having a piece of equipment like that offers us comfort on all levels. So, and I've been talking to friends and acquaintances, and even as early as this week, one of them came to me and asked, what was I using, and indicated that they should get one. So it is something that, honestly, think about it. If you're going to be out there by yourself, or if there's a chance you're going to be out of cell phone service, that's something you can strap to your pack, put in your pocket, carry it, and you can use it. So, yeah.
So we're doing old school podcasts here tonight. We're over an hour, Ben. So we better wrap it up here, bud. We're hour, 10 minutes into this. But it is a Christmas episode. You know what I mean? We had a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of things, a lot of ideas. Those of you that are only listening, you're not viewing this visually through YouTube, I do highly encourage you to maybe pop over. This is one of those ones you're probably going to want to check out and get the visual references on this one. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just listen and you got a real good imagination. Either way, definitely some thought there. Hopefully we covered a little bit for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, check these things out. There's plenty of other things out there. Talk to the bushcraft in your life and see what they need. There's so much more. We could have covered 1,000 more products easily. These were just ones that spoke to us today. So yeah, get out there, have fun, enjoy yourself.
And this was the short list. I took several things off of there, and we combined several things that were similar enough we didn't have to talk about them twice. We literally could have gone another hour and probably still had more if we had stuck to the original stuff.
100%. We could have gotten into clothing, we could have gotten into foods, we could have gotten into so many other things.
But that's it for this year, folks. If you have any questions about these things, feel free to reach out to us. Or if you have suggestions on what other people could be looking at for the bushcrafter they know, or themselves if they're playing Santa Claus, and see, just include it in on the comments. Jump on YouTube, drop it down there, jump on the Facebook page, jump it in there, message us through the website, whoever you want, and we'll put it up. Otherwise, definitely reach out to us if you've got some ideas there, and we'll try and get them up as soon as possible, because Christmas is around the corner. And I don't know about anywhere else, but I do know here in Canada that if you're ordering online, Canada Post with their little thing going on, a lot of things are being delayed, so just keep that in mind, folks. If you're ordering stuff online, try to do couriers. Yes, it's going to be a little bit more money, but you might actually get it before Christmas.